In the quiet and serious atmosphere of the Awakening Square, a voice echoed across the space, clear and formal, announcing the start of the initiation ceremony. Everyone was called up in turn to approach the Awakening Steel and begin the ritual to unlock their destined profession. The order was strict, and people stepped forward with the discipline of a military lineup. Among them, a third-year student named Jang Tio was assigned the role of scaffold worker. After him, a fifth-year named Laui received the role of mason. These were not glamorous titles, but they were steady and respectable, essential support roles that kept things moving even if they didn't stand out. Standing nearby, Fun Yang watched the process with his arms crossed, clearly unimpressed. He carried himself like he was more important than everyone else there, his expression full of arrogance. As he looked around, it was obvious from the way he smirked that he considered these roles beneath him. In his mind, the awakening process only produced low-tier professions that didn't matter. His followers, eager to flatter him, quickly agreed with his thoughts. They pointed out that Fun Yang had awakened as a greatsword warrior, a rare and highly regarded combat class, and praised him as someone far above the others. They mocked the support professions as people only good for carrying his shoes. Just then, someone accidentally brushed against Fun Yang's shoulder while passing by. The movement seemed unintentional, but one of his lackeys immediately reacted as if deeply offended, shouting and demanding to know who dared bump into him. The person who had brushed past turned around calmly. His tone was polite, and he explained that he was in a bit of a rush. Fun Yang narrowed his eyes as he recognized him. His look changed. There was now a hint of interest, as though he had noticed something unusual. A small, cold smile appeared on his face, like he was planning something in his head. One of his followers leaned in and quietly pointed out how the guy didn't act like a regular student. He held himself like someone from an important family. There was suspicion in his voice. Maybe this person wasn't someone to take lightly. But Fun Yang clearly wasn't buying it. He scoffed at the idea and waved it off like it was a joke. Then, one of the gossipers around them loudly whispered something for everyone nearby to hear. He mentioned that the Lin clan had been destroyed a few years ago under mysterious circumstances, and no one knew the reason. Then came the reveal. The person who had bumped into Fun Yang was Lin Han, the last known heir of that clan. Hearing that, Fun Yang laughed out loud. His tone was sarcastic as he called it a tragedy. He brought up how Lin Han used to be one of the two top talents during primary school, and now he was reduced to this. Fun Yang made it clear that he thought it was ridiculous for someone like Lin Han to show up at the awakening ceremony, calling him a deluded fool who was just asking to be laughed at. The crowd started murmuring, watching how Lin Han would react. But he didn't seem affected. His only response was a small, calm smile. He stood straight, showing no signs of anger or embarrassment, while others whispered and judged him. Lin Han simply walked up to the steel, placed his hand on it, and spoke firmly, as if declaring that he was about to prove something. Suddenly, an overwhelming burst of energy surged out from the awakening steel. It was strong and unexpected. The space around them seemed to tremble slightly. People nearby froze in place, their faces stunned. No one had expected such a reaction. Even Fun Yang's followers were at a loss, one of them stumbling over his words in confusion as he turned to Fun Yang. Then came a brilliant flash of light. It was so intense that it hurt to look it directly. The crowd was silent, caught off guard by the display. Many had never seen anything like it during an awakening ceremony. As the light faded, the results slowly appeared on the awakening steel. The words were clear: profession, hidden grade 6, title, Beast Tamer. The square erupted with mixed reactions. Some people looked confused, others skeptical. While the profession was rare, its usefulness was questionable. Some in the crowd muttered, wondering if Lin Han was truly a genius or just someone who drew an odd profession. Fun Yang wasted no time reacting. He laughed again, now even louder, treating the whole situation like a joke. He dismissed the awakening result as meaningless, saying that without a powerful beast, the profession was useless. He pointed out how raising a strong beast would require huge amounts of money and resources. Then he mocked Lin Han directly, saying he should be smart and ask for help. Fun Yang even offered to throw him some spare change so he could buy a mad dog to form a contract with. At that moment, Lin Han responded with a smile that carried a different tone, part mocking, part playful. He made it clear he had no intention of accepting anything from Fun Yang. He joked that there was no need to buy a mad dog, especially when one was already standing right there barking at him. It was a sharp comeback, said casually, but with enough bite to hit its mark. Fun Yang's face turned red with anger. His frustration boiled over as he muttered insults under his breath. He couldn't hold it in anymore. With a loud roar, he lunged at Lin Han, swinging his fist, clearly intending to attack him and settle the insult physically. Just as Fun Yang charged at Lin Han in a fit of rage, a series of steady footsteps cut through the tension. A powerful kick landed cleanly on Fun Yang's face, stopping him in his tracks. Bai Bing had arrived, her presence sharp and commanding, like a veteran officer stepping onto a battlefield. She didn't hesitate. Her tone was cold and firm as she stared Fun Yang down. She made it clear he had no right to speak to her student like that. Either he left immediately, or she'd deal with him herself. Fun Yang backed off without another word. Even though he was angry, he swallowed it. He turned and barked at his group to leave, knowing that Bai Bing came from a clan he didn't dare provoke. He muttered under his breath that Lin Han got lucky this time, but warned that if he ever acted arrogant again, there'd be consequences. Bai Bing turned her eyes toward Lin Han. She looked at him with a bit more curiosity now. It wasn't every day someone awakened a hidden profession. She gave a small nod of approval. Lin Han scratched his head with an awkward grin, almost like a kid caught sneaking snacks. He joked that she was teasing him again. Her expression shifted slightly, the strictness still there, but now with a hint of exasperation. She reminded him, not for the first time, that outside of school, he was supposed to call her sister, not teacher. Then she called him out for sneaking off to the awakening ceremony on his own. In her words, he had guts bigger than a watermelon. Lin Han raised his hands in surrender, making a face like someone caught in trouble. He pleaded with her to go easy on him. Seeing his reaction, Bai Bing's sternness softened just a little. Still strict, but now with warmth behind her eyes, she pulled out a bank card from her coat and handed it to him. Her tone was serious, but also filled with concern. She explained that being a beast tamer would be tough. Without enough money, he'd struggle from the start. She told him to take the card, find a proper beast, and make sure to focus on improving his strength. Lin Han accepted the card with genuine gratitude in his eyes. He promised he'd repay her kindness someday. Without missing a beat, she smacked him lightly on the head and smirked, telling him not to get ahead of himself. If he kept acting smug, she'd knock some sense into him again. Later, the scene shifted to Lin Han's home. It was a simple and quiet place. He returned to his room, looking tired. The day had been long and full of surprises. As he sat down, he let out a deep breath, almost talking to himself. He was finally home, but this was only the beginning. He knew that from here, things were about to change in a big way. Just then, something strange happened. His expression sharpened. A voice echoed in his mind, deep and ancient sounding. It congratulated him for awakening and informed him that the divine Beast Taming System had now been activated. A quick look into his background revealed the rest. Lin Han had once been the eldest son of the powerful Lin clan, a well-known and respected family. But tragedy struck 3 years ago when the entire clan was destroyed overnight in a massive flood. The Lin Han of that time had died helplessly in the chaos. But at that moment, a soul from another world, his current self, had taken over the body and inherited its fate. Since then, Lin Han had lived in this new world, slowly figuring things out. He knew about the existence of a mysterious system, but it had remained inactive until now. With the awakening complete, the system was finally online. Glowing text appeared before his eyes as the system interface lit up. He laughed with real excitement, as if finally reaching a goal he had been chasing for years. For 3 long years, he'd been waiting to activate this system, holding on, pushing forward. Now, with its power finally in his hands, things were different. A detailed status screen appeared in front of him. Name: Lin Han. Profession: Beast Tamer. Class: Hidden Profession. Level 1 Attributes: Strength 70, Agility 50, Spirit 110, Constitution 60. Equipment: None. Skills: Spirit Contract LV.1, Beast Space LV.1, Beast Summon LV.1. With the awakening complete, his first task arrived. The system's voice, formal and commanding, declared that the divine Beast Taming System had officially activated and was issuing a side quest titled Mysterious Salvation. But then, the tone of the system suddenly changed. It shifted into something more playful, almost like a salesman at a market. It offered him an optional upgrade. For just 100,000 Heavenly Dragon Coins, he could unlock Extreme Mode, granting faster growth, stronger attributes, and better development. Lin Han stared at the prompt, stunned, his face twisted with disbelief. He practically pulled his hair out, yelling in frustration. He had just gotten money from Sister Bing, and now the system was already asking to spend it? With an annoyed sigh, he gave in. He figured he might as well see what the system could really offer. Suddenly, a brilliant beam of light erupted, filling the entire room with a brightness. The entire space around him had changed completely. He glanced around in confusion, not recognizing anything. For a moment, he wondered aloud where he had ended up. Before he could think further, the familiar voice of the system responded. It congratulated him for completing the side quest Mysterious Salvation and unlocking Extreme Mode, which, according to the system, would now be a permanent part of his cultivation journey. The voice continued, more energetic now, almost like it was handing out a grand prize. It cheerfully announced that Extreme Cheat Mode was activated and that he would now be granted access to an ultra-rare beast, one no one had ever touched before. But then the tone shifted to something more serious. The system informed him that since he was still at first transmission of his profession, he could only unlock a single beast. It prompted him to confirm whether he wanted to proceed. Lin Han didn't answer immediately. His eyes narrowed slightly, and he paused, weighing his options. He knew each profession advanced every 10 levels, and with each advancement, only one beast could be contracted. Choosing poorly at the beginning could ruin his entire combat progression, and with his lack of resources, he couldn't afford second chances. After a brief moment of thought, he let out a resigned sigh. He didn't have money for more options anyway, so he figured he might as well trust the system. He tapped the control panel, muttering quietly, almost like complaining to himself about how ridiculous this all felt. The instant he made his choice, a small creature appeared, its tiny head poking out, with eyes that gleamed sharply, as if ready to pierce through an opponent. He immediately recognized that this was his first beast. In the palm of his hand sat something barely larger than his fingertip. Then the system made a grand announcement, stating that he had successfully activated one of the 10 ancient ferocities, the Heavenly Horned Ant. His reaction was instant. His face darkened, and he yelled out in frustration. He had spent all that money, 100,000 Heavenly Dragon coins, and in return, got an ant. He couldn't believe it. He even started wondering if there was some sort of refund policy. It felt like a scam, but the system wasn't bothered. It calmly continued, stating that the Heavenly Horned Ant had already formed a contract with him, and that its evolution process was beginning. Lin Han was stunned. He hadn't even agreed to anything yet, and the system had already bound him to it. He felt like he'd just been dragged into a forced sale. Before he could protest further, a figure materialized in front of him, a mysterious girl bathed in light. At the same moment, the system announced that the ant's evolution had completed and that it had now entered its combat form. Lin Han stared at the evolved creature, completely caught off guard. What he saw amazed him. This wasn't just any transformation. It was unexpectedly impressive, even beautiful in a surreal way. He reacted with surprise and excitement, like a fan seeing a celebrity in person. This outcome was way better than anything he had expected. Feeling confident, he told himself that with this beast, tomorrow's Saki trial was already in the bag. The next scene shifted to dawn at the training ground, a large platform surrounded by misty mountains. The teacher's voice rang out clearly, calling the students together for their first leveling session after awakening their professions. He explained that Bai Bing, who was originally supposed to lead the training, was unavailable due to urgent matters. Until she returned, command of the session had been temporarily given to him. Instructor Sa rang. As the instructor spoke, Lin Han stood nearby, distracted as he casually played with his beast. The instructor went on to explain that the students would be randomly assigned to training zones that matched their current capabilities. Though the trial wasn't meant to be dangerous, he emphasized a key rule. Safety came first, and they should avoid acting recklessly. As Lin Han moved through the crowded training ground, someone suddenly bumped hard into his shoulder, making him pause. It was Long Tinja, his sworn brother, a genuine close-combat warrior known for his straightforward attitude. He grinned and asked if Lin Han had gotten himself a beast yet. If not, he suggested they team up and go hunt one together. Just then, Fun Yang seized the opportunity to throw in a jab. He mocked Lin Han with a sneer, offering to help him catch a few low-grade beasts, the kind only good enough to be used as backup. Then, twisting the sarcasm deeper, He added that if Lin Han learned to bark like a dog, maybe he'd toss him one to keep as a companion. Lin Han looked over casually, offering only a faint smile. Without raising his voice, he returned the insult with a quiet sting, asking which dog was barking now. Fun Yang lifted his chin and, with all the pride of someone issuing a royal command, declared that the barking one was Lin Han. But as the words left his mouth, it hit him what he just said. His face froze in realization. He had walked straight into the insult himself. Fury surged through him. He roared, no longer holding back, and charged at Lin Han as if he'd lost all reason. But Lin Han calmly lifted a hand, deflecting the incoming punch with smooth, practiced ease, as if he'd seen it coming from start. He didn't look angry, just amused. He even teased Fun Yang, saying that the punch was so weak it felt like he was just warming up for breakfast. Fun Yang began to sweat. Doubt crept in. How could a so-called beast tamer have such sharp reflexes and strength? He started wondering if Bai Bing had secretly given Lin Han some special enhancement the previous day. Suddenly, Instructor Sa Rang's voice boomed across the field, snapping the tension. He called out Lin Han's name and demanded to know why he was fooling around. It was his turn. He needed to head through the teleportation gate to his designated leveling area. Long Tenji's expression turned concerned. He urged Lin Han not to go alone, saying it was risky. But Lin Han simply patted his brother's shoulder and told him not to worry. He'd be fine. Off to the side, Fun Yang stood with arms folded, a sly and cruel smile spreading across his face. He muttered to himself that he had already tipped off Teacher Sa about Lin Han. This time, he was sure Lin Han wouldn't come back in one piece. Sa Rang's irritation was visible too. Watching Lin Han linger around Bai Bing had been eating at him. The truth was, he harbored feelings for her, and seeing Lin Han so close to her made him furious. In his mind, Bai Bing was his, and anyone near her was a threat that needed to be eliminated. As Lin Han stepped into the teleportation gate, Sa Rang clenched his fists tightly, his gaze full of cold intent. He had made up his mind. That boy wouldn't walk away unscathed. Meanwhile, Lin Han landed in his designated training area and immediately began scanning his surroundings. The terrain was rough, the territory of swift wind wolves, known for their incredible speed. This was a silver tier leveling zone, meant for students between levels 11 and 20. For someone in a supposedly weak profession like his, being sent here was clearly a trap. Sa Rang had done this on purpose. Then came a sharp, rhythmic sound behind him. A pack of swift wind wolves had already surrounded him without a sound, advancing quickly. Lin Han's expression tensed. His heart gave a small jolt. He cursed under his breath. Swift wind wolves, fast and deadly. But even facing them, he stayed composed. He called out confidently, joking that he was still alive and not going down that easily. Sa Rang would have to try harder if he wanted him gone. Almost on cue, his beast companion began to stir. Sensing its master's need, its spiritual energy awakened. In a flash of radiant light, the tiny form shifted, changing shape until, standing before Lin Han, was a woman of striking beauty. She looked like she had stepped straight out of a dream, her long snow-white hair falling over her shoulders, her crimson eyes calm yet fierce. She locked eyes on the incoming wolf pack. A transparent interface appeared in the air, and her clear voice followed. She reported that she was ready for battle and confirmed her activation state. Her details were displayed. Race, one of the 10 ancient ferocities level, 10 total combat stats, strength, 800 agility, 700 spirit, 600 constitution, 900 core skills included. Coalescence. Increases all base stats by 30% titanic force. Boosts absolute strength by 50%. Lin Han gave a small nod of approval, his eyes focused. This was his first time seeing her in combat, and he was curious whether the 10 ancient ferocities truly lived up to their name. At the same time, his own profile appeared. Name: Lin Han. Primary profession: Beast Tamer. Transmission: First, hidden profession. Current level: unclear. Base stats: Strength 70, 80 agility, 50, 70 spirit, 110, 60 constitution, 60, 90 equipment. None skills: Spirit Contract LV.1, Beast Space LV.1, Beast Summon LV.1. Then came the next system prompt. It informed him that his first task had been issued: eliminate 10 ferocious beasts. Completing this mission would earn him 100 beast taming points. Without waiting for a signal, Ji dashed forward, her movements so fast it blurred, and landed a punch that sent a snarling wolf flying. Any wolf that dared to charge at her was swiftly taken down, each one dealt with decisively. In no time at all, the pack, once feared for their coordinated attacks, lay scattered and defeated. None were spared. The wolves gasped on the ground, completely overpowered. Lin Han stood a few steps away, arms crossed, one hand casually tucked into his pocket. He watched the entire scene with a calm, distant gaze, as if merely observing a routine performance. When the dust settled, Ji landed lightly on her feet, not a trace of dirt on her. She reported in an even tone that the enemies had been eliminated. Her expression showed no hint of the battle she had just fought. Her eyes were cool and composed, with a quiet pride, as she awaited Lin Han's next instruction. Lin Han was thoroughly impressed. Internally, he praised her, not just for her strength, but for how effortlessly she handled the situation. Beautiful and deadly, she had taken down 7 swift wind wolves in under a minute. Lin Han thought that if she ever reached full maturity, she'd have complete control over this area. Thanks to the victory, Lin Han's system level instantly jumped from 1 to 6. His stats, strength, agility, spirit, and constitution also rose sharply, fueled by the defeat of 7 out of 10 required targets. Ji remained still, standing quietly beside him. Her eyes stayed focused on Lin Han as she softly called out to him again. He laughed gently at her tone, half amused, half sincere, and replied that anyone who tried to compare their stats clearly didn't understand. As one of the 10 ancient ferocities, she had no equals among her kind. She truly was a remarkable sight. Despite her power, Ji was delicate and charming, about half a head shorter than Lin Han. Overcome by the contrast between her appearance and her strength, he couldn't help but pat her soft hair. In that moment, she looked less like a ferocious beast and more like a pure-hearted girl untouched by the world. A strange emotion stirred in him, and for a second, he even felt an urge to kiss her. But before the thought could go any further, Ji respectfully bowed and reassured him in a quiet voice that everything was under control. That one sentence, paired with her calm and obedient demeanor, made Lin Han flush with embarrassment. He felt his face heat up, as if he wanted to dig a hole and hide. While Lin Han and Ji shared this brief exchange, 3 black-clad figures hidden in the treetops silently watched. They were part of a special task force sent by Sarang. The buzzcut leader whispered, noting that Sarang had claimed Lin Han was just a harmless student, yet here was a mysterious girl standing beside him. He asked if anyone knew who she was. One of the other men replied softly that he had no idea. But based on how she had taken down swift wind wolves with her bare hands, it was clear she wasn't someone to be taken lightly. Their eyes stayed locked on Ji. From her graceful stance to her elegant appearance, she seemed like a vision, something out of a dream. Wicked thoughts crept into their minds, and their gazes turned lecherous. One of them whispered that she was even more beautiful than Bai Bing, and that killing someone like her outright would be a waste. The other agreed, suggesting that they enjoy her first. The buzzcut leader, the only one with some sense, paused. He sensed something off. Beneath the girl's gentle look was a presence he couldn't ignore. He warned the others that she wasn't going to be easy prey. But if the 3 of them launched a surprise attack, they might succeed. He planned to take Lin Han out first. Just as he turned to issue the order, he was met with silence. Confused, he spun around and shouted angrily at the other 2, demanding to know what they were doing. What he saw stunned him. In the blink of an eye, Ji had already taken him down. One of them lay unconscious on the ground, completely out cold. The other was suspended midair, dangling helplessly in her grip like a chicken being held by the neck. It was a swift and fitting punishment for their vile intentions. The leader froze, shocked by her speed and raw power. He stammered in disbelief, asking how she had done it. She had closed the distance instantly, without a sound. His mind reeled. She wasn't normal. But he was no amateur. Years of experience kicked in. He didn't hesitate. Turning on his heel, he ran, prioritizing survival. Based on her strength, he estimated she had to be at least level 20. He had no intention of dying today. Lin Han and Ji didn't let him off that easily. As the man fled, Lin Han shouted, ordering Ji to chase him down. He told her not to let him escape. As the man ran for his life, a new wave of doubt and curiosity surged inside him. He kept asking himself, who was this kid? How could someone like him have such a powerful guardian? In his panic, he looked back to check how close they were, but failed to see what lay ahead. Without warning, a massive claw swung down in front of him, descending like a hammer from the heavens. He screamed, shouting out in desperation. B's strike crushed him on the spot, snapping his body like dry twigs. Just as the massive beast swung its enormous claw, Lin Han shouted out a warning, telling Ji to stop. She immediately halted and stepped in front of him. Lin Han stared at the creature, silently swearing. This wasn't some ordinary enemy. It had to be one of the 3 remaining beasts from his quest. But this one was far stronger than what you'd expect from a trial designed for early levels. Before them stood the swift-winged Wolf King, a towering gray beast radiating menace. Its level? 22. Every breath it took warped the air around it with eerie green ghost flames. It wasn't just any beast. It was the pack leader, here to avenge its fallen kin. Beneath the Wolf King's foot, the buzz-cut man who had tried to run moments earlier reached out weakly. His lips trembled as he silently begged for help, clinging to life. But the beast had no patience. With one final movement, it raised its paw and crushed him completely, ending his life in a splatter. This was it. Lin Han realized this was the boss of the trial. If he could defeat the swift-winged Wolf King, he'd finish the most dangerous part of the challenge and gain 200 beast taming points. The reward was tempting, but the risk? Immense. One mistake could mean instant death. Lin Han hesitated for a moment. As the saying goes, when all else fails, retreat. Concerned, he pulled Ji by the hand, suggesting they withdraw for now. But Ji gave a cold smile. Her usual gentle aura was gone. Her expression hardened, serious and determined. Lin Han felt both nervous and reassured. The moment he saw her gaze, he knew she wouldn't back down from this fight. So he pointed to the giant beast and gave the order confidently. Take it down. Without a second thought, Ji launched forward like a streak of silver light. Her small form sliced through the air, aiming straight for the monster. The Wolf King saw her coming and let out a deafening roar, its mouth wide with a full set of deadly fangs, ready to strike. But Ji moved faster. Like a scene straight out of film, she leapt into the air and grabbed the beast's jaws, upper and lower, locking them in place. Her arms strained with effort, veins showing as she held the monstrous bite open. Using the wolf's own momentum, she propelled herself higher, shooting skyward as moonlight cast a pale blue glow around her. Her silhouette floated briefly above the treetops, striking and surreal. But the Wolf King wasn't done. It followed her up, activating its signature skill, Swift Wind Blink. It vanished for an instant and reappeared midair, directly behind her. Before she could react, its claws slashed across her arm, leaving a deep wound. Her scream echoed through the forest, briefly halting even the rustle of leaves. The hit sent her flying down, slamming into the ground with crushing force. Lin Han stumbled backward, shocked by the sheer impact. The swift-winged Wolf King landed just behind her, not giving her a moment's rest. Its claws were already raised for another strike, eager to finish her off. Ji forced herself up, trying to block, but the wolf's strength and speed overwhelmed her. She struggled to defend, unable to land a solid counterattack. Lin Han could see the situation was bad. The power gap was obvious. This wasn't a fight she could win through sheer strength alone. Then, just as things reached their peak, another threat appeared. A hidden wolf lunged from the side, charging at Lin Han. He cursed under his breath. The fight was already uneven, and now the others were joining in. As he dodged the first wolf, 2 more flanked him, aiming to attack from behind. But Lin Han reacted quickly. He grabbed the tail of the wolf in front of him and twisted with all his strength. His eyes were sharp, and his voice dripped with contempt as he mocked them for being too inexperienced. He laughed, saying that since they were so eager to offer their heads, he might as well accept the gift. With a powerful spin, he hurled the wolf into the other 2, crashing them together in a clean, controlled strike. It was a precise move like something out of a textbook. That one moment alone took him closer to completing his quest, defeating 7 wolves and also unlocking 10% of Ji's hidden potential. Now, Lin Han was clearly in control. The fight was turning in his favor. There was no need to rely on Ji alone anymore. With new momentum, he rushed at another wolf. His eyes were cold, focused, and unforgiving. When he reached the beast, he copied the move Ji had used earlier, grabbing the lower jaw. But unlike her, Lin Han didn't just restrain it. He tore the creature apart, ripping it in half with brutal force. Blood and flesh exploded in every direction. It was a grisly scene, but his goal was clear. That was it, 10 out of 10. With the last beast down, the system chimed in to confirm that the mission was complete for both Lin Han and G. Each of them was awarded 100 beast taming points. Realizing his recent power boost, Lin Han called out to G, signaling it was time to use their strongest move. She immediately felt a powerful surge of energy awaken inside her, her eyes lighting up with a fierce glow. The Wolf King no longer fazed her. At that moment, the system's voice rang out calmly in her mind, announcing that 100 beast taming points had been consumed to activate a special skill, Furious Coast Strike, the signature ability of the Heavenly Horned Ant. According to the system, the skill would deal damage equal to 100% of her current attack power and had a 5-minute cooldown. Without wasting any time, G quietly shifted into her battle ant form and began creeping up the massive wolf's leg with total silence, like a ghost moving through shadows. The beast, clearly disturbed, glanced around nervously but couldn't spot her. It was completely unaware of what was coming. Suddenly, a force hit its abdomen with tremendous impact. Before it could process the pain, G returned to full-size mid-attack, slamming her entire strength into its core. The timing was precise. The power flared just long enough to drive the hit home, then quickly faded as her mana dropped. She began shrinking again, returning to her human appearance while staying on the offensive. The Wolf King, unable to react, became her target for one last decisive move. With the skill's energy still partially active, G gripped the beast's midsection and tore downward with everything she had. Blood and flesh scattered in every direction as the giant creature was ripped apart. Then, she landed heavily on the ground with enough force to kick up a shockwave. Lin Han instinctively stepped back, raising his arm to block the dust and force. As G steadied herself, the system chimed in, boss-level quest complete. The elimination of the Swift-Wind Wolf King had earned them 200 beast taming points and 1.5 experience points. But Lin Han barely registered the notification. His focus was locked on G, still shocked by what she just pulled off. A level 22 monster, taken down so cleanly, it was impressive and slightly unnerving. G turned and gave him a confident smile that made his skin prickle. This was her real nature, one of the 10 ancient ferocities, the beast hidden behind the pretty face. The system wasn't done. Another announcement rolled in. The Wolf King and one of the other slain beasts had dropped weapons. Lin Han's inventory updated. At the same time, G crouched down again, looking ready to pounce, though her expression was now cheerful and innocent again, as if she'd never just torn apart a monster. She ran toward Lin Han and wrapped her arms around him tightly, calling out to him like a happy child. She even bragged about how she had crushed all those wolves, asking why he was trying to dodge her hug. Lin Han stood frozen. This was the first time a girl had hugged him like that, and with her pressed against him, he wasn't sure where to look or how to react. His cheeks turned red, flustered and dazed, but his mind still echoed with the image of her tearing the Wolf King in two. Could G really be this powerful? She looked up at him with sleepy eyes, whispering that she was tired, and just like that, she passed out in his arms. The battle had clearly drained her, and she had nothing left. Despite everything, Lin Han couldn't help but feel relieved. The fierce fighter had returned to her soft, adorable self. He gently patted her head and spoke to her softly, telling her she did well and could rest now. Even half asleep, Ji responded with a happy little grin, saying she understood. Lin Han sat down beside her, leaning back against a tree to recover. The system displayed a message. Energy-saving mode was now active, and his physical recovery had begun. He looked over the interface and chuckled to himself. It was just like one of the online games from his past life, fighting monsters, collecting loot, and cashing in. He quickly tapped the screen, curious about the drops. When he saw the list, his eyes widened with excitement. There it was, his special weapon. He couldn't believe his luck. He held the weapon in his hands. It was the Wolf Fong's Malice, a sleek silver sword that gave off a sinister aura. It required level 22 to equip, but offered plus 50 attack and plus 80 agility. Even better, it came with the Furious Coast Strike passive. When a user was injured, all stats increased by 5%, making it ideal for prolonged battles. A magical staff, the Ice Scepter. Usable at level 10, It increased magic power by 50 and had a 30% chance to freeze enemies for 1 second on hit. In the hands of a spellcaster, it could be a serious game changer. Lin Han grinned, satisfied with the outcome. This was exactly the kind of progress he needed. Lin Han checked his stats eagerly, excited to see where all the XP gains and battle rewards had landed him. He had leveled up fast, scored some powerful new weapons, and maybe even had a shot at earning some good money. "Let's see, what level am I now?" he muttered, pulling up the interface. But instead of celebration, a warning blinked across the screen. Current level, 10. Max level reached for first transmission Beast Tamer. Requirement: advanced profession to continue leveling. He blinked, a bit surprised. Didn't expect one Wolf King kill to boost my XP this much. That boss was worth a truckload, he thought. Surveying the battlefield, still littered with defeated wolves, Lin Han realized that grinding more monsters here wasn't necessary anymore. His eyes then moved to the 2 black-clad agents G had knocked out earlier, still unconscious under a tree. A sly grin formed at the corner of his mouth. "Before I leave, I'll squeeze some answers out of those 2. Someone had to be pulling their strings." The moon above cast a quiet, frosty light across the scene. Time passed quietly, the tension now simmering beneath the surface. Hours later, at the teleportation gate, Instructor Saw Rang stood with a group of medics. His voice cut through the early morning air. "Prepare. Trainees are returning." Trying to keep up the appearance of professionalism, he barked orders. "Ready the health scanners. Prioritize treating the heavily injured." But behind that fake smile, a more sinister plan was brewing. "Let's see who makes it back," he thought smugly. Especially Lin Han. Then, a sharp voice called out, catching him off guard and wiping the grin off his face. Bai Bing had arrived. She was clearly here to check on her student. Saw Rang's expression twisted for just a second before he forced a grin back onto his face. "Oh, Teacher B," he said, keeping his tone pleasant but dismissive. "Weren't you tied up with other duties today? Why trouble yourself? Just rest. Let me handle the trainees." But Bai Bing wasn't here for small talk. Her instincts told her something was off with Lin Han's trial. Her gaze narrowed. "You owe me a clear explanation," she said firmly. Still pretending to play fair, Saw Rang responded calmly, acting like he had nothing to hide. "Teacher B, I know you're close to Lin Han," he said, "but we need to treat all students equally." Then, as if that wasn't slimy enough, he added with a self-important tone, "And if fairness is what you're after, I've got experience to share. Why not join me somewhere quieter so we can talk in detail?" A man preaching virtue while planning betrayal. He couldn't have looked more suspicious. Bai Bing didn't even bother with a reply. She struck. Her palm moved like a winter gust, sharp and controlled, straight for his face. Before he could even react, a thin blade of frost pressed against his throat. Her voice was icy. "Saw Rang, I want a convincing explanation. Now." Only then did the reality sink in for him. A shiver ran down his back, and his throat went dry. For the first time, fear showed in his eyes. He stammered, "Teacher B, I'm not sure what you mean." But Bing didn't let him play dumb. "Lin Han just awakened," she said, voice cutting like glass. "He's a rookie, a beast tamer, and you threw him into a silver tier zone? He wouldn't even have had a beast to rely on yet. How's he supposed to defend himself?" The blade stayed exactly where it was, just one push away from ending the conversation for good. "You think because he's an orphan with no background you can do whatever you want?" she continued, her voice now a low, angry hiss. "Pick on him just to flex your authority?" Saw Rang reached up slowly, carefully pushing the blade aside while trying to keep a nervous smile on his face. "You're misunderstanding me," he said quickly. "I had good reasons. Lin Han needs pressure to grow. He just awakened, right? Trials make him stronger. And I didn't leave him alone," he added hastily. "I even assigned 3 assistants to follow and protect him." Bai Bing didn't say anything for a moment. She slowly retracted the blade, her eyes never leaving his face. "You'd better pray Lin Han returns safely, because if he's hurt even a little, I'll carve the same wound onto your body." Saw Rang gave a stiff nod, rubbing his head awkwardly and putting on a forced grin. But deep inside, he was already scheming again. "Act all high and mighty now," he thought bitterly. "Let's see how smug you are when you see Lin Han broken and beaten." A sudden loud sound cut through the tense moment between Bane and Saw Rang. The overseers had announced the return of the trainees. The first to step out was Lang Ling Shuer from Class 6, a rare storm mage and one of First High's 2 top geniuses. She walked out calm and composed, like the trial had been nothing more than a formality. The crowd immediately stirred. It's Lang Ling Shuer. Knew she'd be first. Compared to her, Lin Han's not even worth mentioning. Right behind her was Fun Yang, quick to flatter. As expected, you're the school's top student, even faster than me. When she didn't respond, he kept talking. Ling Shuer, we're First High's brightest stars. We should stick closer in the future. But Lang Ling Shuer simply stepped to the side, avoiding his hand like brushing past a breeze. Her response was cool and clear. If it was the old Lin Han, I might consider you pass. Fun Yang's expression twisted slightly, struggling to maintain his smile as the sting of humiliation sank in. Another student emerged from the trial gate. Lin Jia came running, breathless, his face full of urgency. Little Lin. As he returned, Fun Yang scoffed, not holding back. Didn't expect a tub like you to survive. Quite the luck. But your dear friend Lin Han? Probably dead in the secret realm. Lin Jia clenched his fists, his teeth grinding in anger. His eyes were blazing. Say that again if you dare. Fun Yang looked him up and down with mockery. Fiends. Lin Han's dead. A beast tamer like him? How long could he possibly last? Before things could escalate further, Rang barked out, all of you shut it. Then he turned on Lin Jia, snapping, back in line. Fun Yang smirked, and Long Tin added mockingly, what? Is Lin Han your dad? Stop dreaming and work on yourself. Rang motioned with his hand. Move aside. Don't block the returning trainees. Knowing the instructors were all on the same side, Lin Jia swallowed his frustration. He took a deep breath, telling himself Lin Han would be back. He just needed a little more time. Time passed slowly. About an hour later, Fun Yang was lounging on a rock, acting like a king. His lackey was massaging his shoulders. Brother Fun, rough few days, huh? Brother Fun, is this pressure okay? But Lin Jia's eyes never left the trial gate. His chest was tight, the same thoughts circling in his head. Why is everyone back but no sign of Lin Han? One of Fun Yang's lackeys snorted. Still waiting? He's long gone. A beast tamer, torn apart by beasts, he died the way he lived. Before Lin Jia could respond, something flew in from the distance with a piercing whistle. A rock slammed into Fun Yang's crew, knocking them over and leaving them clutching their heads and howling. Startled, Lin Jia turned to see where it came from, and then he saw him. Lin Han walked out from the shadows, his steps light and unhurried. A faint smirk played on his lips as he said, just lingered a bit. Since when did the school get so many barking dogs? Lin Jia's face lit up. Little Lin, he shouted, running over with flailing arms. You're finally back alive. Even Bane nearby breathed a soft sigh of relief. Kid, you nearly scare me to death. But not everyone shared that feeling. Rang's face stiffened. Ow! I sent 3 men to eliminate him. How's he back in one piece? Still, he kept his smile on the outside. Inside, he was already spinning more plans. You got lucky, Lin Han. But this isn't over. Fun Yang stepped forward, smirking. Can't believe you actually passed the trial. He sneered. A beast tamer without a beast. What did you do? Hide in a corner and wait it out. But Lin Jiao wasn't having it. You brain dead? If everyone was as useless as you, we'd all be dead. Always pampered from A to Z. Lin Han let out a light laugh. Protected? Let's see what's real and what's not. Lin Han remained unbothered and stopped Lin Jia from reacting. Calmly, he asked Fun Yang to repeat himself. Then, in a voice loud enough to quiet the entire courtyard, he asked if Fun Yang was done barking. With a slight smirk, he added that someone with Fun Yang's skills wasn't even qualified to carry his pet sandals. Fun Yang's face turned red, though he tried to stay composed. In response, he threw out a challenge. He proposed they compare levels, and if Lin Han won, he'd pay 100,000 Heavenly Dragon coins. But if he lost, Lin Han would have to kneel and call him Grandpa. Without hesitation, Lin Han agreed. He calmly said he'd make sure Fun Yang's face hit the dirt. Lin Jiao panicked, trying to stop him and reminding him that the instructor was still present. Lin Han simply turned to teacher Rang and explained that this was a personal matter, asking him not to intervene. Rang, feigning neutrality, nodded and agreed to let the bet play out. He made a statement about honor and integrity, reminding everyone that First High valued these traits. Inwardly, though, he was pleased. He thought Lin Han had walked into a trap and expected to win without lifting a finger. Standing off to the side, Bai Bing said nothing, but her eyes showed a mix of pride and suspicion. She recognized something familiar in Lin Han's demeanor, something sharp and calculated. Ready to proceed, Sarang officially announced that the match would begin. Lin Jia stepped forward, clearly nervous. He clarified he wasn't part of the bet, but couldn't stand by as Lin Han's brother. The system displayed his class and level. Frenzy Warrior, level 2. Fun Yang scoffed at the reveal, mocking Lin Jia for acting bold at such a low level. He then revealed his own stats. Great Sword Warrior, level 3. With his chest puffed out, he claimed this was the mark of true talent. His lackeys cheered, excited to see their leader's superiority. They praised him loudly, calling him the best and admiring his rare profession. Lin Jia felt crushed, as if doused with cold water. Inwardly, he cursed. He hadn't expected Fun Yang to already reach level 3. The situation felt grim. Riding high on his confidence, Fun Yang turned to Lin Han, taunting him next. He brought up another student who hadn't passed level 2 yet, claiming Lin Han couldn't possibly be better. He even suggested they both kneel and admit defeat to save time. Lin Jia was fuming and was about to retort when Lin Han stopped him again. He told him to calm down. Someone like Fun Yang wasn't worth his time. Then, without warning, Lin Han released his aura. A powerful force swept through the courtyard like a gust of wind, shaking the very air. With confidence, he declared that even if he reset his progress and started from scratch, he'd still leave Fun Yang far behind. The system displayed his actual level, Beast Tamer, level 10. The crowd reacted instantly. Shock and disbelief filled the space. People stared, jaws dropped, unable to process what they saw. A level 10? It felt unreal. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this manhwa. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you either in a new manhwa recap or in the next episode of this one. Until then, take care and bye-bye.